Christmas enthusiast, I was overjoyed when actual Father Christmas asked if he could come on to episode 16 of Light on Leeds and dispel some of the myths that surround him. I think you'll find this ever so interesting. I certainly learned a thing or two. I am so excited for this episode of Light on Leeds podcast because we have got one of my absolute favourite all-time people in the world, Santa Claus.
Ho ho ho.
So Santa Claus, how come you're here doing the podcast?
Just a bit of PR.
A bit of PR?
Yeah, just thought there's a few things that, have been going for too many centuries that I thought I should sort out.
Things that you need to get off your chest?
Well, not so much get off my chest, just, explain.
So, Santa, we've all been told all these years that you come from North Pole, but it sounds to me like you've got a Leeds accent.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's difficult to kind of describe us as coming from anywhere.
Ah.
Because there ain't just me. But, yeah, I suppose in your physical domain, you describe us as hanging around this area of the world, probably more than other places. So, yeah, it's a bit of a base.
So when you say us...
Yeah.
What's
I've
that
got all my
about?
helpers and stuff and all my mates.
A team?
Yeah. We're a little bit more egalitarian, so technically I'm the boss, but not really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So who have you got on your team?
Just more people like me. You lot think of them as elves and all that sort of stuff, but they're not.
They're just your team?
Yeah, they're just my team. We're different. We're different to you lot.
So is it true that you keep a naughty and a nice list?
No.
Is it not?
No. That's the dark side. That's about people wanting to control people. We're not into all that stuff.
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
That's one of the things I wanted to sort out because we're just not from that place.
Ah.
So it's horrible. It's a way of controlling children, isn't it?
It is.
We think that kids are fundamentally good and that life works out on them and it's part of a cycle of bad parenting. So it's not really the kid's fault. And, sometimes people, when they come into adulthood, lift themselves out of it and learn how to be good parents and all that. But the kids are fundamentally good. So we kind of don't go into all that naughty and nice stuff.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear.
It's a complicated one. There's an age, probably about, during teenage, would like to think that people kind of learn to cope with the bad experiences, but kids who get described as bad, it's usually because they've had bad parenting and bad experiences and all that sort of stuff. So,
That's a nice philosophical way to see it. So you don't agree with this whole elf on the shelf system that people have?
What's the elf on the shelf?
The elf on the shelf is where people buy a little elf and they put it on the shelf in their sitting room, and the idea is that this little elf is like a spy for Santa.
Oh, no, that's a new one to me.
And you wouldn't like that?
Not at all, no. Well, why would you want to threaten kids? You're basically just keeping the bad vibes going, aren't you?
Yeah,
if you're threatening kids and saying, oh, you're being watched, and how much anxiety and paranoia and stuff do you want to dump on a kid? You should be leaving them to it. Kids need guidance, not threats.
Yeah, exactly.
And they need to have the space to make their own mistakes and all that sort of stuff.
Well, naughty kids are always my favourite anyway.
The idea that we wouldn't turn up and it's not the adult's choice if we're going to come at Christmas and give them stuff. It's our choice, and we're not into all that negative stuff.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And so, do you actually have reindeer?
Don't be daft. It's 2020 or 30 or something. Where are we at now? It's definitely 21st century. We had reindeer. We used reindeers very, very sporadically in particular places about 200 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, but that's the thing, is there's loads of myths about us lot, right? And basically they caught a snapshot of time that's got nothing to do with anything. It was just, that was a day in our lives. And somebody said, this is what it is. And part of it was when we got caught was about 200... When of this red suit and reindeers and all that sort of stuff got set up, maybe 200, 100 years ago or whatever. And part of it is that's when they started writing it down and drawing us and spreading it and sending things out. And it was at a time where there was a northern European sort of Western dominance of the world.
Right.
So they basically said, yeah, Santa's fat and white like us, and he wears this, and this is who he is. But we're not like that at all. We're not human.
No.
I don't want to scare you, but we're not human. We share Luca with you lot, so you can go back to our last universal whatever it is ancestor. So there was a time in evolution where we were the same, but you're talking about millions and millions of years ago, and then we separated off and went another way.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So we're not the same as you. We're not physical in the same way as you. We're not, we're just totally different.
So a lot of the sort of tropes of Christmas and the things that we think of as traditional.
They're all myths. They're just, I did once wear a red suit, but I'm not fat, and I never had a beard. It's like, it was probably some guy with, it was probably somebody with a lot of insecurities who went, "Hey, it looked a bit podgy to me," And once those things start, they people bounce off each other and create it. It's faith, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. And some people don't believe in us, and that's fine. We don't need them to. But it's that faith thing, and people negotiate it and move through it or whatever, but they create their own myths. So all the reindeers and stuff. I mean, like I said, we did once use reindeers for a little period of time in Scandinavia, right? Because it was useful when we were down on the ground. But we don't now. It's we move on, we change, we evolve, just like you lot. In fact, half of the things that you lot have got now and technologies and stuff, we've given you a nudge.
Ah.
We've given you a little.
Right.
Probably think of us lot as being more like inspiration.
Oh, okay.
So it's hard to explain. It's to do with time and space and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So the Einstein fella almost got it right.
Oh, okay.
He did a time-space relativity, whatever it was he did. Yeah. Well, I had a little. When he was getting there. He was getting there, but he was getting a bit confused. So I had a little whisper in his ear.
You gave him a little nudge.
Well, yeah, he would have got there anyway, but it was taking a bit of time and stuff. It's when we tend to do our work, it's more when people are waking up, coming round, they're moving between the two worlds of the subconscious and the conscious. And I just had a couple of, just give him a little nudge to do with this stuff, because he was getting good, he was getting there, but it might have taken him another 10 years,
Wow.
And things at that time needed to move on.
And is that part of you and your team's role then, to sort of look at humanity and see where we're going and give us a little help?
Yeah, we can't do too much though, because it's autonomy, isn't it? So it's a difficult one. We don't want to we're not into rule control, we're not into those things, but yeah, when we can, we'll give you a little nudge and give you some guidance and stuff. But it's down to you lot, which is part of we go all the way back to paganism. And it's connected in with all that. That's a Jesus religion thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you've got free will. Well, within strict religions, you haven't really got free will. You've got an idea of free will, and it's a free will that you will be punished like the naughty kid. Well, we kind of don't operate like that.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
So, can I ask you, when you're going around the world delivering the presents?
Yeah.
Do you really enjoy all the mince pies and the sherry that are left out for you?
No. People leave them out, and a carrot for the fictional reindeers and all that sort of stuff. But I'd only touch anything if we got spotted. Sometimes it's to do with probability and all that sort of thing. Occasionally we do get seen.
Yeah.
And that's the only time. It's like to it's almost being polite.
Yeah.
But we're different. We're completely different to you. We're different entities, so we don't really eat like that.
Ah.
But we can. It's hard to explain. It's probably a bit too much. We can taste and we can eat, but we don't really need to. But what happens is, once we've done it, we can recall it. So it's like eating it again, but we don't actually physically eat it.
Oh, right.
So it's like I've got a catalogue of tastes from around the world.
Wow.
Because, mince pies, sherry, all that sort of... Again, it's a Western European, whatever it is, but we eat all sorts of stuff. And places, communities around the world have all got their own little traditional things to do with, And it's not always Christmas, Christmas is a funny one for us because it's been mixed up with Christianity and God and all that a lot. Again, it's Western world taking over, you know, perspectives and all that sort of stuff. So for us, Christmas was always to do with other things. It was to do with people getting together and appreciating each other around the world, you know. Yeah. And in each place, there is a bit of a convergence in time, but we don't have time in the same ways that you have time.
Wow, that's really fascinating.
Yeah. Well, it's like me red stuff, you know, all that people put me... I wouldn't be seeing dead wearing stuff like that. I've got all sorts of... But stuff that I get, you know, I've got some fantastic... I mean, look at me as badly jammy stuff now. Yeah. You know, I get stuff from... I'm really into Shawanis and all that sort of stuff.
Shawanis?
Yeah. Japanese embroidery.
Oh.
You know, I have clothes from all sorts of, you know, I change them and move them and all that sort of thing. But also, we're a little bit shapeshiftery. Mm-hmm. So if we get spotted, I don't know, in Thailand, say, I appear to that, hopefully, child. We don't like getting seen by adults. But I'm not going to appear as some alien, strange creature from 5,000 miles away. I appear to that child as a Thai.
Yeah.
You know?
And how
it's something that makes them feel comfortable. That's what they know. We don't want to... You know, you won't want to be turning up, you know, in... I don't know. In Nigeria as a 6 foot Swedish type looking guy in some kids, you'd freak them out.
Yeah.
What's that weird thing there?
Yeah.
You know. So we kind of our physicality is very different to yours, so we kind of can alter how we look and think and all that sort of thing. And you know, I don't put clothes on; I just have them.
Yeah.
You know, so it's different.
Wow.
And it also changes with moods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can have, you know, some really nice South American style dress and within a minute I'm wearing I'm wearing a suit and tie, you know.
That sounds fantastic.
Changes. Yeah.
That's kind of like the wardrobe we'd all love to have.
Oh, yeah.
So are there any elements of... I mean, obviously I'm talking about a Western Christmas just because it's the version of Christmas that I know.
Yeah.
Are there elements of it that you really enjoy?
Enjoy, it's what we do. So enjoy, you know. We're about positivity, so we enjoy the positivity of things, but sometimes too much pressure gets put on the whole thing and it's too commercialised and too, you know, and it becomes something else. I get a little warm feeling when I see things that tie back to its pagan roots.
Yeah.
So, you know, things to do with trees and mistletoe and all that sort of stuff makes me kind of smile with memories of what it used to be.
Right.
You know, which was more about just getting together and celebrating your friends and your life and the good things that you've got.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah. And it's got a good heart, but, you know, it's just been a bit twisted and perverted over too long. There's too much pressure almost. Mm. You know. And also people are different now. They don't live in the same sort of communities that they have done for centuries and millennium and all that sort of stuff. They're more isolated. So when you bring people who've spent more time alone into a smaller space and cram them all into you know, you might have 13 people in a house that see each other every Christmas and that's it. Mm. You get all these little weird tensions and you know, it needs a bit more space. It used to have space. It used to be more about friends and relations and the community, you know, coming together around a central place within their little, you know, village, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, do you ever want anything for Christmas yourself?
With 2 front teeth? No, not really. Not really. We don't really consume in the same way. So I've kind of got what I need.
Yeah.
So, no, not really.
Oh. And
I definitely don't want any more bloody books about football.
you don't want any more books about football?
No. Everybody gets me books about football. I've got enough books. I don't like stuff like that.
And so when you hear all our Christmas songs that everybody loves, you know, that there's a huge range and everyone's got their favourite. Is there any Christmas song that you really enjoy?
Well, I don't really do Christmas songs. It's all a little bit... For me, it makes me a bit sad, really. So I've got music at the moment for the last probably 15, 20 years. The music that I have when I'm travelling is Arvo Part.
Arvo Part?
Yeah, I think he was Estonian. I think he still is. But it's like plinky plonky music. It's minimal, sort of classical plinky plonky stuff. But it's lovely when you're moving through space at a different speed and time and all that sort of thing. I was quite touched by that Bing Crosby thing that he did with that younger lad, that rumpa-pum-pum thing.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of soul to it, that. I quite liked that.
Little drummer boy.
That's the fella, yeah. Quite liked that. Yeah. But I'm more into that other thing that I said, that I want to call it Avro, but it's Arvo, but I've always called it Avro because there was a link with... in my head, I was thinking about a factory that used to be in these parts and also in other parts of Britain, which was Avro, but it's Arvo.
Arvo.
But it's sort of Gregorian chanty type stuff mixed in with plinky plonky, but it's just lovely when you move in. What it is we move very fast, and that music is very slow, and it just works because it's like we sync with it in a weird way. We sync with it. We move really, 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 really fast. We have to, so we've got a different relationship to time. I should have said more about the Einstein stuff because that probably explained it. But we've got a different relationship with time. So, you know, like an elephant and a mouse. So their perception. So the elephant to the mouse is moving really, really slowly,
of course,
and the mouse to the elephant is whizzing around really, really fast. Well, we kind of move way below the mouse speed, so that's why it's weird. There's always anomalies. That's why it's weird when we get spotted, because we're not really in your time-space thing. We're in a different one.
Right.
So when we get spotted, I mean, that's the thing. It only happens a couple of times a year. In reality, people have dreams and stuff, but actually spotted, it only happens a few times a year. But it's just nothing is solid, you know, everything's fluid, everything moves, so we're always going to get spotted. We looked into how we could stop it from happening, but we can't, it just happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the kids who actually get the chance to see you, that must be a really beautiful experience for them.
Hopefully, yeah. We try to sort of minimise it. That's why we end up doing eating the mince pies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we kind of try to minimise it, and the other thing is, we have to make sure that we are then in that Father Claus image, or would scare them.
Yeah.
So we have to flip back to that. So then that backs up that thing that you know, I'm a little tubby old white bloke in a beard and wearing white suits with big black. We have to do that now because that's kind of the reality. But things change and evolve, so hopefully, you know, that'll change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's more of a marketing thing, isn't it? It's an image. It's a good. It's like. You know, Coca-Cola, for God's sake.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to be associated with those things.
No.
But we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when you're sat at home with your team, do you ever watch any Christmas movies? Is there any particular one that you think is either explains well for you, or just one that you particularly enjoy?
Not particularly. I love It's a Wonderful Life.
That's my favourite.
Because that kind of gets to the heart of what we're about. You know, that's kind of... If there was a film that I said caught our essence, I'd say it's that.
Oh.
It's about understanding sort of human frailties, but also how hard people can be on themselves when they shouldn't be hard on themselves.
Yeah.
And also that support thing and that thing of there is always a chance for redemption. Don't matter how far down you go and how bad you feel. You know, not everybody comes out of it, but that film for me shows that you can come out of it, and there is always the possibility that you'll come through difficult things and love and support and you know, it passes on. You know, if you're good and positive and lovely to people around you, they feel more good and positive, and they reflect. It's selfish in a weird way. They become nicer people to be around and nicer to you, and then they become that with their friends, and then that ripples out through the world. You know?
I agree.
And there's some good support in that film.
Yeah, there is.
Know? So I like that because it's and also it's because it's a film, people can re-watch it and re-see it, and that just ripples out the positivities that we're into. Yeah. It's from the good side rather than the threatening kids from the bad side.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and it accepts it's not sort of all fluffy. You know, there's after Christmas entertainment. You know, there are films that there's that other one. You know, where Santa I've forgotten what it's called, where Santa goes into New York, and he's trying to prove he's real, and they go to court and all that. And that's a lovely film. There's plenty of nice ones, but for me, It's a Wonderful Life is more real. It's real.
Yeah.
You know?
It's about the human experience.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that he didn't realise how much good he'd done for everybody.
That's when people are in dark places, they can't see the light, and you know, we kind of. It sounds bad. It sounds like I'm describing you lot as a soap opera, but we do watch, we do see. You know, some of my team, I have to give a bit of a kick up the backside to get them motivated because they're so busy going. Yeah, but she's just and he's. I'm going. Yeah, but we've got things to do. It is sad, but you're not helping her, are you?
Yeah.
You know, she's been gaslighted and you know she's left with the kids and blah blah blah. But
things like
that you're just watching. You know, what we do is get out and try and spread the positivity and the love and all that stuff. So come on, let's get moving.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, but it's that thing about time and space and all that. We've got way more time than you lot to do things. I mean, it's a bit sad. It's like we don't have the extremes that you have, so we're more level. So our existence isn't as dynamic. It sounds weird. We do all these crazy, exciting things. We travel through space and time in ways that I could never explain to you. But we don't have the ups and downs that you have. So I think it's like getting a second-hand emotional thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're much more stable, and it's probably very selfish to say it, but I know that members of my team kind of look at the joys and the sadnesses, the peaks and troughs that you lot have, and go, "I wish I could feel that. I wish I could," you know. But that's because they haven't. Yeah. They haven't been that low. They haven't felt like there's no purpose in going on, and if they'd been there, they'd probably go, "That's the last thing I ever want to do again." And to experience the beauties of life, mm-hmm. for you lot, you have to go through those dark and light and all those things.
Of course,
it's all about those things balancing. Whereas we're not like that. We're much more just stable.
And I suppose as well,
we do kind of sometimes get a little bit like, oh God, we're just a bit boring, and you know.
But I suppose as well, because of the time thing. You know, we in our lives everything's all concentrated and packed in, whereas you know you're able to stand back and see sort of how everything plays out.
Yeah, and I mean we do occasionally have people from our place who want to stop because they've been doing it for 70,000-80,000 years and they're just going, right, I just need a bit. Now it's a funny thing, they can stop, we allow it, mm-hmm. But it's not like a death that you understand. It's like they just stop, and the energy is still. We still have the energy. It's all different where we have the energy. So it is almost the thing that I'd say, if it's similar to you, is like reincarnation,
right?
Sort of. But when we get a newbie, when somebody wants to just stop, we get a newbie, and it's the energy that shifts over, and the newbie doesn't. It's almost like one of your children. The newbie has to live and learn, and they do. You know, we teach them what for you would be over centuries, but for us it's a blink. Mm-hmm. But it's the same energy that just shifts over. So, and it's got no consciousness of its previous state. You know.
Well, that's just amazing and fascinating. Can't even imagine that. But you can imagine that if you, like you say, you've done all this for sort of millennia, you're going to get tired of it eventually, aren't you?
Well, I don't, and most people I know don't, but it's the individual thing, isn't it? As I say, our relationship to time and space and all those things is totally different to yours. So from your point of view, yeah, if you live for 50,000 years, you might get a bit bored. But we don't. You know, we've got different things. We've got, you know, there's so much that I can't get into. Really, it's too complicated. But also, it's hinting at things that you need to discover yourselves. We don't want to. Again, it's about autonomy. We can give you little nudges and hints and all that sort of thing, and you know, and inspiration. Kind of what we can sprinkle is inspiration. We can't give you solid facts and information that you can use, because we've got to leave you to it to a certain extent.
Yeah, we have to find our own way.
Yeah, kind of. We can nudge and stuff, and we might need to start doing a bit more at the moment, because everything seems to be getting a bit dark down here.
So can I just ask you, before you get off, because you've got to go and do all your amazing things that you have to do, do you have a message for us that you'd like to leave?
Just be good, respect, treat each other well, try and understand each other, try and, you know, don't jump to conclusions about, you know, that little old lady necessarily being isolated and sad. She might be happy as a lark, you know. The big guy stood in the corner who looks like a meathead and looks scary, he's probably the loveliest person you've ever met. You know, it's not his fault he's 6'10" and built like a shed, you know. Give people this space and opportunity, and don't judge. Get to know things before, you know. Don't look at anything or anybody and go, oh, that's how it is, because that's not always how it is. You've got to learn, you know. If you know that person you've seen them burgle 15 houses, don't leave your door unlocked, you know. But, you know, be nice, respect, treat well, live and love, give people space.
Well, that's a lovely message to pass on.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, ho ho ho.
Thank you so much.
One day we'll get our stuff back from Jesus and God and all that stuff that Western Europeans have nailed onto, you know. Anyway, right, I'll stop.
Thanks very much, Santa.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Ta-ra. Ho ho ho.
It's great city, right on Leeds. We'll tell you. Wait a minute. Right on Leeds.
Wow, well, I never. Did you ever? That was fascinating. To end this Christmas episode, we've got Listen, The Snow is Falling by the wonderful band Grand Old Uke of York. I know York isn't Leeds, obviously, but they're great friends, and this is a beautiful version. Merry Christmas, Leeds.